All right, let's go ahead and get started because we have a very quick hour here to be with you. So, first of all, thank you again for being here to celebrate and uplift Transgender Day visibility. My name is Fiona, my pronouns are she, her, and I lead membership development at the Austin LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. And I'm also a filmmaker. So, I am thrilled to be able to present this amazing story that we're going to share and then have a discussion about trans inclusion here in the US. My accent is very British, but I have lived and worked in the United States for 24 years. Over half of that time has been in Texas. So I consider myself a very proud Texan. For a quick visual ID, I am a white woman with long, curly, strawberry, blondish hair, and I have my signature red lipstick on, which I like to imagine exudes the brightness of my personality. Hopefully, you can feel that through. So, with that, I would like to quickly add that anyone that needs captions, captions can be turned on via Zoom. We're also recording this session, so if you need to drop off and want to catch up later, then we can make that accessible for you as well. And our team is going to have some call to action and some action things that you can take to uplift the trans community. So we'll be putting that into a document to share after this session. So we want to dive right into watching the film first before I go ahead and introduce each of these panelists. We're thrilled that Equality Texas is our partner on this event today, and we have an in-person happy hour later at El Raval, which is owned by Laura Friedman and her wife Laila. And Laura is also an out trans woman, and she sits on the she participates in our committees here at the Austin Chamber. So we're just thrilled to be able to have a couple of things today. So welcome everybody, and I'm going to go ahead and share the film Transgender at War and in Love. Just for a little bit of context, this film came out in 2015. It was originally released by the New York Times. The project started back in 2012, and in fact it was a project that I started because as an LGBTQ plus advocate, I'm an out bisexual cisgender immigrant woman who strives to be the best trans ally I can. And I realized that Don't Ask, Don't Tell had been repealed, but trans people were still banned from serving in the US military. And a lot of our movement work had turned toward marriage equality, which, while of course is important, I felt personally ashamed that I'd done a lot of advocacy around the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and did not realize at the time that while lesbian, gay, and bi people could serve, trans people were still going to be left behind due to outdated policy. So I had many friends who are trans and in the military, one of them being here, Laila Ireland, who we now consider ourselves sisters. And so I got to meet Laila and her now husband going back to 2012. And so we just started documenting their stories. It got picked up by the New York Times and got released June 15th of 2015, which seems amazing, unbelievable, like amazing, not in necessarily a positive way, that we're now 10 years on and the story in the film is almost just as relevant as it was back then. So if you have any problems like playing the film, it is available on YouTube if you just search Transgender at War and in Love, and we can drop links as well. And of course, it's available on the Austin Chamber website. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can watch this 13-minute film and then have a really robust dialogue afterwards. So thank you.
My name is Logan Ireland. I am a senior airman in the United States Air Force, and I didn't tell my age. My name is Logan Ireland. I'm 27. My name's Logan Beck Ireland. I'm 27 years old, and I'm a senior airman in the United States Air Force, currently stationed in Kandahar, Afghanistan.
Hey. I miss you.
I miss you.
Your hair looks good today.
Your face looks good today.
How's the wedding planning going?
My cousin's gonna be doing the cupcakes like we wanted. So exciting. But tell me about your deployment.
Every time we go to a different location, there's always a whole bunch of kids around. And I had my sleeves rolled up, and they were pointing to my tattoo, like they wanted to see it. I pointed to the ring, and I said, Madame. They get that that's my wife. And then they wanted my ring. Go figure. Like, no. I love you.
Love you. So what did your commander say? Was she like all surprised and stuff?
My commander was a little surprised when I told her. I mean, she didn't really seem too fazed by it. I told her that I was transgender, that I was assigned female at birth. This deployment has really opened up a lot of doors for me and other transgender members that are trying to serve in silence. She seemed all for it.
Contact right!
Well, my mind is completely wired like a guy. Everything I think about, operate, my mannerisms, it's completely male, 100%. So we have 4 bathrooms, and basically everybody just pairs up with one. There's 3 right here. Turn the light on. And this is the one I usually use with one of the other guys. And it locks. Has everything you need. But I just keep all my shots in here and put them in a safe container for afterwards. It's very inconspicuous. And in case somebody was to go in there, I have my prescription already put in it. So they can see that it's legal. There's not a lot of people that know that I'm transgender. It's very much on a need-to-know basis. Currently in Afghanistan, there's only a handful, and those people are of higher rank than, of course, the people that I came here with from my home station.
How often do you give yourself a shot?
So it's every Friday. When the other guys ask me what being transgender means, I basically say that it's just being assigned female at birth. Your mind does not come in alignment with your body. After doing it every week for over 3 years, you just kind of get used to it. And that's it. What I like about this deployment is I can be my authentic self. I'm just another guy, whereas back home, I'm still seen as female and I go by female regs and standards. Here in Afghanistan, a war zone, it's like a vacation to me because I can be myself in such an austere environment. I will need to tell my commander back in Altus that, look, I am transgender. I stand to lose everything. I stand to lose my career, my future, my foundation. It takes away the service that I've done and that I feel very proudly to have accomplished. It takes all that away.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, is this Lauren?
Yes.
So, the boys just landed in Dallas maybe about 40 minutes ago, and they're getting ready to board soon. Once Logan messages me, I will message you two to let you guys know when they've landed in Lawton, and then we can go from there.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, well, I will talk to you later.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.
The wives and girlfriends of some of the troops that he deployed with, they've been nothing but wonderful throughout the entire deployment. Funny thing is that they don't know. I'm sure that they know about Logan being transgender, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm almost 100% sure that they don't know that I'm transgender. My name is Laila Villanueva. I'm in the United States Army. I'm a healthcare management administration specialist. Been in the military for 12 years. It's a long time. and I'm stationed in Honolulu, Hawaii at Triple Army Medical Center. When I first moved to Hawaii, I had a supervisor who I was able to go to. As long as I came to work and I did what I needed to do, it was perfectly fine. Since then, I've changed supervisors. It's a problem. I've been asked to correct the patients and let them know that they can't use female pronouns. But that in itself causes confusion. The patients are like, "What are you talking about? That is a female." No, that is a male. Oh, shoot. That's up. Hello? Babe,
Where are you?
I'm driving.
Well, I'll message you whenever we leave here, okay?
Yeah, please let me know when you guys are getting ready to like get on the bus and head over.
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
Love you. Bye.
That's the bus, Laila.
I always joke around to my friends, that, my lesbian daughter ended up turning out to be my straight son. I have a lot of gay friends and even several gay cousins, but transgender is just not something I've ever heard of. So he had to educate me.
My closest friends at work don't know. I mean, we're mechanics, and everybody's got their opinion. They know, my daughter's in the military. It took me a while to come to this point. This didn't happen overnight. I mean, through the growing up years, and when I finally realized the situation, I was just like the guys at work. Same attitude, same, even if it was my son, daughter. It was hard for me to accept. But the bottom line is, this is an American going fighting for your liberties that you have here. I don't care what gender you are.
So we go in, and he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to thank you for everything you did in Kandahar. We heard really great things about you, and the first sergeant told me about what's going to be going on with you. He's like, we have your back 150%. Whatever you need to do it." He's like, "Okay, your blues, you're not wearing them, are you, or are you not? Because you have female blues, and those are way out of standards for you. You need to get rid of those." I'm like, "No sh."
So that means?
That means that I get to go buy male blues.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh my God, that's so exciting.
That is so exciting.
My heart is pounding really fast.
I got so excited, because that's huge. This is a first to my knowledge. You're telling me to screw dress, and now I'm going by male dress and appearance standards too. So I don't have to grow my hair out. And I can have a mustache.
because the military is such a manly environment, it is way much more difficult for women to transition than it is for men.
Her unit does not support her whatsoever. They see her as male. They make her use the male restroom. They have her going by male regs and standards.
You know, people think that we're different or sick or whatever their opinions are of us, but we are people too, you know? We live our life and we get married like anybody else, and we want kids and we want a house and we do our jobs. And in that, there shouldn't be any problem for us to serve openly. So.
There are a lot of transgender troops. There's over 15,000 of us, but I know a lot personally. They're getting discharged left and right, and these are good people for the military. You worked alongside of me and we served. We went outside the wire together. We had each other's backs together, right? So you didn't see me any different then, don't see me any different now, and please change your opinion on others like me.
Whew, I still get emotional when watching it. The reunion, especially like with Logan and Layla, you may have heard my voice there, and every time I watch it, and I've seen it a million times, I get filled with emotion. So thank you for sharing, watching the story together. So I would like to quickly ask a foundational question for each of our panelists as I introduce them. And then I have one specific question for each of our panelists, and then I'm endeavoring to leave some time at the end for some Q&A from you, the audience. So please feel free to go ahead and drop any questions in the Q&A or the chat, but ideally the Q&A. We have Colton on our team who is monitoring the chat, and we'll be able to uplift the questions when we get to that time. So I would like to start off with why visibility matters question to each of our panelists. So if you would like to take just a minute to introduce yourselves, include any self-ID that you'd like to share with the audience. And the question would be, what does visibility mean to you, especially in today's political and workplace climate? So I'll go ahead and just ask Layla first, and then Layla, go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, aloha everyone. My name is Laila Ireland, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm a small town kid, born and raised right here in Hawaii. I'm a native Hawaiian, Filipino, and Puerto Rican. I'm also a proud trans woman, a retired Army veteran, a military spouse, and I continue to serve our community as a federal civilian in the military. So you could say I live at many intersections of many identities. But to answer the question, visibility is challenging the narratives that seek to erase us. In today's political and workplace climate, where our rights are constantly under attack, being visible isn't just about being seen, it's about being recognized, respected, and valued and celebrated. Visibility creates the spaces, this sparks conversation and manifests inspiration and builds understanding. It reminds others that we are here, that we contribute, that we belong, and that we are not going anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Layla. So Eve, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, and thank you for being here on the panel?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Eve Molnar. I live in Austin, Texas. I've lived here since 1997, and the city and I have both changed a lot since then. I work as a graphic designer, and visibility, I think, is a concept that's like so central to the lived experience of transgender people. I know for me at an early age, I didn't have the language or words to necessarily even explain to myself how I felt, but I just wondered why, um, I was seen as a little boy, as male by everyone, when that's not how I felt, and that's not who I wanted to be. Um, and there's lots of different experiences and paths and journeys for trans folks, but I think that kind of push and pull between visibility is something that's ongoing. For many of us as we get older, either directly or indirectly, we learn that we need to censor part of ourselves and make essential part of ourselves invisible to fit in and to get by and to try to feel normal. Um, but then, as we come out and move forward, again, we want to be visible. We want to be seen and recognized for who we know ourselves to be. And at its best, visibility can be liberating and affirming and wonderful. Being visible is often an essential element of living our authentic truths, but it can also really feel like scrutiny. We often find ourselves in environments and situations where our visibility makes us feel like a target, that we could potentially be unsafe. And so, as an out and proud transgender woman, I feel like I have like a complicated ongoing relationship with the concept of visibility. It's this balance of wanting to live a full and authentic life of unapologetic visibility, while also knowing that there are times and places where visibility is dangerous. And so I think there's a lot of nuance with that.
Thank you, Eve, for that beautiful response. I feel chills and I feel like a lot of people are resonating with your words. Thank you. Sophia, I'd love to have you introduce yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Sofia Sepulveda, pronouns are she, hers. I am a transgender woman. I am the field director with Equality Texas. I am also Mexican American, first generation. I'm an indigenous woman and from the Coahuiltecan tribe. So again, like Laila, I totally can relate because I live within many identities. What visibility means to me is normalizing our community. Right, I agree what they were saying, Eve and Layla, about it is a way to show them that we're here. I was out since I was 19. I'm 48 years old, and for the longest time, I was living stealth, as many of us trans girls did at the time, because it was dangerous to be visible, to be out, and to be loud, and to be unapologetically yourself. To me, visibility is showing them people that I am not being erased. I'm right here, right? And it will help, and I hope it help us normalize our communities as it has helped normalize the queer community throughout the years, right? By showing us on a more positive light, like the work that Layla is doing within the military, like the work that many of us trans women are doing. We have realtors going that are very successful in San Antonio, Texas, right? And that visibility is important because it shows us that we can be more than what society wants us to be.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And Miriam, please, can you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miriam Locke, pronouns she, her, and I serve as Government Affairs Director for Equality Texas. We are the largest nonpartisan political advocacy org in the state fighting for LGBTQ rights, and just wanted to thank the Chamber once again for this incredible partnership on a day as important as this in the time that we are navigating together. Visibility, or a little bit more about myself. I am originally from Allen, Texas, just outside of Dallas, but I'm a very proud first generation Ethiopian Eritrean woman. And so visibility within the context of my work within the organization revolves around ensuring that we all have seats at the table. And I think that that authority as decision makers in the rooms that will dictate our future is of the utmost importance. Again, in times and trials as these, and our work continues to center around our municipal and state entities where we can put real Texans in front of those who have to cast a vote on behalf of us. So excited for the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. So to our audience, I've got one question for each of the panelists that I'm going to ask them to kick around, and then we'll leave as much time at the end for Q&A. So if you do have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A chat, and Carlton is monitoring them. So we're going to go back to Laila. Now, Laila, of course, I know you very well. We've been friends for like 13 years. And so seeing your journey of you and Logan sharing your stories in the films. Like, you're arguably the most well-known trans service members in the United States. Like, the film ended up like helping elevate discharges to the Pentagon level in the Air Force the day after. You were invited to meet President Obama. You were interviewed by Ellen, which we know Logan was more excited about than meeting Obama. So you've really, like, both of you, and you especially, like, I have the connection, because seeing your story side by side as a trans woman's story versus a trans man's story, was really treated very differently in many different aspects. And so I've got to witness the highs and lows of your experience of being visible. And I would love you to share, with the audience, like, what has your experience of visibility really truly been like?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, Fiona, but no, absolutely. We have fostered and nurtured this relationship for the last 13 years, and I couldn't be any more grateful. But I think to answer that question, we have to go back to the beginning, right? So when I enlisted into the military, I understood that serving my country came with a profound cost, the sacrifice of two lives, the one I was living and the one I could have lived. My service wasn't about privilege or entitlement. It was a calling, rather, a calling to contribute, to sacrifice, and to serve a nation that both nurtures and benefits from the liberties and freedoms of a free world. And it was also a continuation of a proud family legacy of service. But in the beginning of this trans-military movement, although Don't Ask, Won't Tell was repealed in 2011, and I got to see the fruits of all that labor, it did not include trans service members. So then, and as Sophia has mentioned, transitioning meant one thing above all, and that I still had to remain hidden. I had to remain hidden within the very community I belonged to. And at that time, hiding was not just accepted, it was expected. It was how we stayed safe. And to be seen authentically outside of queer spaces was exceptionally dangerous. Even within those spaces, visibility didn't always guarantee safety. But when Logan and I were chosen to help propel the trans-military movement forward, we carefully weighed the risks of sharing our stories and our truths publicly. And in doing so, we knew that it came with severe consequences, but we also knew that if we didn't tell our stories truthfully and on our own terms, no one else would. And the opportunity to do so was right in front of us, thanks to you, Fiona, and your vision. So we made that decision together to take that leap of faith, to show the world that we exist, and the contributions that we're giving to this country. It gave us the opportunity to step onto a platform that trans people had long been denied, to be seen and respected as equals. We were able to walk the halls of the White House and celebrate Pride as the first openly serving active duty trans military couple. We had the chance to meet national leaders and trailblazers, legends, who paved the way for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we even appeared, like how you mentioned, on national television on different fronts to even reach broader crowds all over the world. But the most important thing was the privilege of sharing the stories of not just ourselves, but of our fellow service members. That meant the most. It was truly an honor and a powerful and deeply meaningful moment of visibility. I firmly believe that if we have any power as a people, it is the power of telling our own stories. Acknowledging our presence and honoring our legacy is not only a matter of historical accuracy, but also of justice. And in today's society, the visibility of trans people is abundantly vital. Because it affirms our humanity, it combats stigma, and it ensures that no one, even those who have worn or continue to wear the uniform, is never forgotten or denied their rightful place in our shared history. So collectively, as a community, our mission forward is very clear, to honor the legacy of those who came and have fought before us, to be intentionally present today for those who cannot, and to fiercely light the way for those who will follow. Our job is to leave behind the blueprints, the examples, the tools, and the path forward toward a world that is more diverse, inclusive, and more just. A world where being our authentic selves isn't seen as being courageous, but simply just that, being our authentic selves and without judgment. Again, to be quite honest, this entire experience has been turbulent and transformative. And like you mentioned, it's been marked by countless emotional highs, devastating lows that you have seen, and defining moments that reshaped our lives. And still, we are grounded by the reminder every day that our story is just one thread in a much larger, most beautiful and colorful tapestry that we are putting together.
Thank you, Laila. And I can say, as somebody who is a cisgender civilian, getting to build friendships with Laila, Logan, and all the other trans service members that I know, it was very interesting from an advocacy storytelling perspective because you do have a unique story just by being in the military, let alone by being trans. Like, there's a difference between being a service member and being a civilian. And I'll also say that I have had the opportunity to witness how organized you are, what a team you are. You know, in the military, there's much more like, okay, there's a mission and we all have been trained on how to do this job. Whereas a lot of times in advocacy in the civilian life, we're not all quite as disciplined. We don't all quite follow the path. And so if anything, like in my humble opinion, I feel that you all being literally on the front lines, especially, you know, with trans service being attacked again, it's like you are the most equipped people to be able to deal with this. And so I just want to uplift and honor that. So thank you. Yeah. And then I'm going to move to Eve, because if you can tell, we're starting at like, you know, 6,000 foot or whatever, however many feet high, like film and television, and then bringing it to Eve's work. And Eve, you as a communication strategist, you know, in your opinion, how can strategy and communications in marketing and other forms of media be influential when it comes to trans visibility, and not just on, you know, TDOV, but, you know, throughout the year in advancing inclusion?
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you, Layla, and thank Logan for your service. I'm the daughter of a Army combat veteran, and you know, understand the weight of that and the seriousness of that, the sacrifice that goes into that, and you know, I just know that the people out there that are trying to you know, dismantle trans military service and you know, prevent trans people across the board from living full authentic lives, they'll never understand the strength and bravery and you know, commitment that comes with that. So thank you so much. And yeah, I think that in terms of like representation and storytelling, you know, like the other panelists have said, like that's the way to share the humanity and the experience of trans people. And it feels like so often the stories that do make it out into the media are very sensationalized and very extreme. You know, when the reality is that most of us are living our lives and trying to be, um, you know, parts of our family and parts of our community. Um, we've always existed, but we're more visible than ever. And, you know, and our existence is being weaponized both nationally and here in Texas. We're a pretty small group, right? Like, I think that, you know, folks say maybe around 1% of the population is trans, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. That's a pretty small demographic, but it feels like right now we have an outsized spotlight on us. And it makes me wonder, like, how many people really know someone who is transgender? They may have seen trans people in their life, but do they really know them? And you know, for me, I feel like in my professional life, I feel like I might be the only trans person that colleagues or clients know. And yeah, and what does that mean? It's certainly not how the defining way that I think of myself. And so I hope that it's not the defining way that they think of me, and rather, you know, see me as a complete person.
Does it come up in your work as a communication strategist, you know, as Seven Scout? Does your personal identity, or you personally being a trans person, does it come into your work strategy at all, or do you feel like it has nothing to do with it?
Um, I mean, I feel like you know, the experience and understanding that comes with being trans, the things that you learn and come to understand about yourself and come to understand about other people, um, I think that it does change our experience and the way that all of us bring that to whatever that we do. So I certainly feel like I bring that experience and that knowledge into my work. But again, not the defining aspect of it. And again, I think that it's just realistic, authentic, just kind of everyday storytelling and representation is the most important thing that people need to see us and know us to understand that while they may not be able to understand how we feel, um, to know that we are genuine and authentic and that we're just human beings.
Thank you. And then moving to Sophia. So we've come from, film and television, communications and marketing. Sophia, you're the field director at Equality Texas. How does all of this work that's seen in film and television, and this kind of storytelling affect the work that you do? And yeah, please tell me more about what it's like to be field director of Equality Texas.
It's a lot of work, but I feel honestly, I think visibility is very important for field, especially because it allows people to actually get to know us and see us, right? Visibility is important because it gets to normalize our lives. And it also depends on what kind of visibility, right? Because we also have bad visibility, and we see it with films such as like Ace Ventura or Silence of the Lambs, in which they continue to paint trans people as the villain, someone who's coming after women, someone who's trying to take something away from somebody else, when at the end of the day, like Eve said, we're just regular people who want to live our lives. I did a panel for Dream Week. Dream Week in San Antonio is like an homage for the work of Reverend Luther King, right? And it's about a whole week of getting to know marginalized communities and the needs. And the panel was get to know your trans neighbor. And one of the panelists was like, well, my life is very boring. And that's the reality. Our lives are not exciting. I feel like Layla's life is exciting. She's in the military. She works doing all the things. Many people might think my life is exciting because I'm on the field talking to people. But after work, we are just normal, boring people who want to cuddle with our loved ones and our dogs. So I feel like visibility whether it's a documentary or a media or a book, like somebody was questioning a book, is super important because it allows people to see us the way that we really are. We're not these freaks people that our representatives continue talking about us as if we are like this freaks of nature. We're just normal, regular people who do our job, who care about our community because our community is part of a marginalized community who's been oppressed for hundreds of years, right? And at the end of the day, I just want to be able to walk my dog, pick up her poop, go home, and cook for my husband. That's all I want to do, right? So I think the more that we continue to be visible, the more that we normalize our community with stories like you share, Fiona, that you created, it will allow our community to be seen not as other, but as just part of the community. And I like also what Eve was saying, right? Like, or the question that you asked, about is this how we lead our lives? When I started organizing on LGBTQ issues, I did not want to be the trans woman who was organizing on trans issues. I started organizing as a healthcare activist in the cisgender community because Texas has the highest number of uninsured people, right? Unfortunately, circumstances makes you had to step up. Some of us don't want to. Some of us just want to be let live and be free, right? And I think conversations like this, not just today, but let's make it happening and normalize these conversations in order to ensure that people get to know us and people understand that we're just normal folks, boring, normal folks.
So we need more boring storytelling about trans people, is that right? I think so. Maybe we can do that as well. I'm going to save my follow-up question to you, Sophia, so we can hear from Miriam and then see if the audience has more questions. I see one question in the Q&A, so if anyone else has another question, please go ahead. But Miriam, now bringing it to you. So, Miriam, you're Director of Government Affairs, And so you're talking to these lawmakers that think that trans people are not normal and not boring. Tell us about your work and how all of this then affects the legislature. And I'm sure the audience might be curious to know, how's the Texas legislature looking for LGBTQ plus people these days?
Yeah, I will keep I will keep some level of optimism, but in kind of leveling with folks. So, if folks don't know, we are currently in the middle, right smack dab in the middle, actually, of the 89th Texas legislative session. That does not gavel out until June 2nd. So we right now are monitoring committees, monitoring bill referrals, and just keeping track of House or floor debates in both the House and the Senate. Unfortunately, this session, we've seen the highest number of anti-queer bills being authored. We have 205 bills tracked on our end. So it's a heavy lift from last session, which that number was 146. And so things have only unfortunately increased. And I think we can point to a number of variables that have contributed to that. And so it is keeping us very busy, to say the least. But what I want folks to really know, and hitting on everyone's contributions to the conversation thus far, is that last session we were able to kill 96% of those anti-queer bills because of that storytelling, because of the agency of community members, and folks being willing and able to have conversations with lawmakers. Texas has the second highest population of queer folks in the nation. So there is not a district in this state where queer folks are not represented, that these lawmakers don't have to answer to. So we are continuing our work and pulling people from all points of the state, and having those conversations, because visibility is just such a key component to that decision making. And so we've fought in opposition to a number of things with that tactic. There are very consistent trends that we're seeing in our state that mimic efforts that have passed, unfortunately, in other states, and what we're seeing on a national level. To kind of point to a couple examples, we have HB 167 that prohibits DEI initiatives in offices and practices in all government entities, and it really modifies a lot of existing law where there would be a removal of references to minority, women-owned, or race-based considerations in contracting and economic development programs. And as the state with the 8th largest economy in the world, taking out folks' competitiveness for government contracting is a huge hit for our communities. And when we're talking about the growth of the state and us alongside that prosperity, right? And so that's where those are the highest priorities, where we really don't want folks to be missed out on, because it's, it's completely being left behind. That's the argument being made. We have other bills like SB 2149, which would prohibit DEI in electric utilities. And so now that's a very direct attack on government on private business. And so those trends of really restricting government entities and private business from being able to take care of employees and being able to take care of their people and the communities that they serve does us no good. So we are keeping up tempo with bills like that, keeping community informed. But I will say we are still filing great language that we want folks to still come out and be in support of. So HB 450 by Representative Gervin Hawkins, it's relating to recognizing persons who separated from military service solely on the basis of sexual orientation as honorably discharged veterans under state law. And so we're really grateful for local representatives who continue to push past the fear mongering, push past the distractions to actually deliver real results for Texans. And yeah, our continual engagement is getting folks in the building to have their electeds hear directly from them.
Thank you, Miriam. I mean, I just want to repeat what you said for the audience again, like 96% of these bills typically fail. And so just because a bill has been put into the legislature doesn't mean it's going to come out of the legislature. And so I think it's amazing to be able to see the work that you and other coalition organizations are doing to achieve that goal again this time. For our audience, like I see a couple of questions in the Q&A, and Miriam, I'm actually going to come back to you and then the other group, and the questions are all in the same vein. Like one is somebody who's cis het person who wants to be the best ally possible, currently in the middle of reading Sissy by Jacob Tobiah. So what other books would you recommend? And then another question, what is the best thing that our allies can do to support the community? So questions about allyship. But Miriam, let's start with you first. And can you please tell people what can they do specifically about policy? How can we help there? And then let's go around to Sophia, Laila, and Eve to talk about allyship and books and film and other ways to be an ally. So Miriam.
Yeah, what I've told folks is if you've not engaged in a legislative session, this is the one to do it. This is the one to extend your engagement if you've done so in the past or just become a quick learner, because there is so much on the line. So folks can visit our website, and if you have the I say privilege of living in Austin and have proximity to the building. We have a rapid response team and list that is really great to be able to tell folks when a bill will be set for hearing. We do a great job in making sure people have talking points and are prepped on the background and intent of this legislation, being with them in the building and going through the testimony process. And that's just in person. You could always call and email your representatives, because, they, at the very least, cannot be able to say that they didn't hear from their constituents that this was bad. And that's, as someone who formerly has worked in the building for a number of sessions, the impact that has is you really can't put a price to it, because they answered to y'all. And so this is a session where we are emphasizing that this is the people's house. We are doing the hard work in tracking, in lobbying, in just having the game plan. We just need the players to show up on those days, and we're happy to plug people in wherever we can.
That's great. So they go to the Equality website, Equality Texas website, and can sign up for those alerts. That's awesome. Thank you. And then someone's shared in the Q&A, highly recommend a book called Black on Both Sides by C. Riley Snorton. So I am dropping that in the chat. Hopefully everyone can see that. So then other ways to be an ally, other books, other resources. Eve, Layla, Sophia, okay, great. You go, Layla.
Yeah, no, I actually have on my bookshelf back here. I have tons of books by trans folks. One of my favorites is Modern Herstory by Blair Money. Favorite book. It talks about the stories of women and non-binary people rewriting history. We have Before I Had the Words by Skylar Kurgel, a trans man, talks about his experience and his transition, and not having the language nor the resources to really understand what he was going through. Two very influential and phenomenal women. You have Janet Mock, Redefining Realness, and Precious Brady Davis, who is the commissioner in Chicago, for rightfully so. She is a trailblazer and a powerhouse. I have always been me in Redefining Realness. And then Lisa Wade and Myra Max Furry, they wrote a book on gender. And this is an exploration of just exploration about yourself. So these are definitely books I would recommend. I have tons of books around me. obviously for obvious reasons, but I wanted to understand myself and to be able to help other people understand themselves as well. And so this is the reason why I have this plethora of a library of books that I can recommend.
That's awesome. I never had a tour of your library before. That's great. Eve and Sophia, do you have things to add?
I don't read a lot of trans books because I'm a trans woman and I've been living my truth since 19 years old. So I kind of like have the experience, right? I should to support my trans siblings who are writing books. But one of the things that I would recommend is start dwelling on anti-colonialism and racism books, because to understand transphobia is to understand racism, and how transphobia stems from literally racism and colonialism, right? I feel like it's very interconnected, and sometimes we forget that the binary that we are being pushed on right now, it stems from religious Christianity, colonialism that these folks have continued to push in our communities, remembering that our ancestors, my indigenous ancestors, my across the globe have seen us as people who they venerated, people who are wise, people with knowledge, because we tap on both and the male and female genders, which again is part of the binary. So I do recommend, if you're going to be to understand where transphobia stems from, and the history of misogynist and misogynoir, start reading on anti-racist books. How to Be an Anti-Racist should be the first book that you should be reading, and then go from there. Because at the end of the day, this is part of white supremacy, where we are living in.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And someone else has dropped in our chat recommending Jennifer Finney Boylan's book. She's not there. I think a lot of us have heard of Jennifer. She's a prominent university professor who transitioned in 2000, and her book was published in 2003. And yes, we will send out a list of all of these books. We're recording this, thank goodness. And so I'll get it transcribed, and I'll follow up with Laila and any others. So we're going to send a link out to you with all the things to take in action and a list of reading. Eve, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you for the visual tour of your library, Layla. That was cool that you brought visual aids to that. Loved that. Yeah, I mean, Janet Mock's book, Redefining Realness, was a really transformative read for me earlier in my journey, as well as Jennifer Finney Boylan's book. And, after I had come out, I read a book to my children it was called George at the time, and it's since been retitled as Melissa by Alex Gino, and it was about fourth grade transgender girl. And it was also a great way to I think just share some of the experience that I was going through with my kids in a way that they were able to relate to and understand. And so there's a lot of great books that I think are aimed at youth and about youth that are very valuable as well. Because every trans adult that you meet was once a trans child, whether they were out or not.
Well, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions in the chat, and we've got like just 5 minutes left. Did you look like you were saying something, Laila, or was I misinterpreting you?
Yeah, no, and I infamously want to plug two books by Fiona Dawson that she put out as well. Our lovely host has put out two books, and they're actually up on the shelf, so I can't get up to get them. But the first one is Are Bisexuals Just Greedy? And I think, what was the second one, Fiona? I can't read it from here.
So the first one, Are Bisexuals Just Greedy? And then the second one is, what does that LGBTQIA plus label mean? And it's explaining the spectrum of gender and sexuality with humor and ease. So it's very binary questions and very direct answers. So yeah, thank you for uplifting that. As Carlton knows on the call, I try to avoid saying about my own stuff. So thank you. But we'll add that to the list as well. And so, yeah, in the last few minutes, I'd like you to all go around and answer the question, what is giving you hope for trans inclusion today? So we'd like to end on a hopeful note. Anyone chomping at the bit? Otherwise, I'll just call you out. Laila, okay.
Oh, for sure. You know, what gives me hope for trans inclusion right now is the unwavering courage of trans people who continue to live openly and authentically. Our allies who advocate fiercely, and like you, Fiona, to hold this this conversation and this space for us, and the folks that steadfastly continue to build community despite every obstacle they are presented with. That's what gives me hope.
That's amazing. Okay, well, yeah, Sophia. Yeah.
What gives me hope, honestly, is everything that Laila said, and seeing the parents nowadays accepting, loving, and caring for the children. That didn't happen to me, right? I was beat up all the time by my parents, but seeing now how loving these parents are and willing to stand up and fight for the children. Seeing our community showed up. We had the Only for Equality Advocacy Day. 1,300 people showed up to support LGBTQ and trans rights, right? Seeing all of that and the work that many people are putting throughout the country. Look at Zoe from Tennessee, who was able, not Tennessee, but Montana, was able to stop 2 anti-trans bills because she was forming relationships with Republicans. That is what we need to start doing, right? Like, we need to stop being like, I don't want to talk to them because the policies. Let's meet each other where we are, and let's have those conversations. So that's what gives me a lot of hope.
Amazing. Eve.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Laila and Sophia said, but I think also, organizations like Equality Texas, the Transgender Education Network of Texas, Texas Freedom Network, and similar agencies across the country. I mean, that gives me so much hope. Every 2 years, I find myself at the Texas Capitol, in a seemingly hostile environment and in a fight for our rights and existence. And it's the work that organizations like Equality Texas do of bringing community there. When I see my community there and I get to stand alongside them, I mean, it just fills me with so much hope and joy.
Thank you, Eve. Miriam.
Can't top what anyone else has said before me. Definitely echoing. And I will say, part of the next generation who also has taken it upon themselves to come out. I know high school students who are now expert testifiers. And so people are just getting more involved, and seeing that energy trickle down the generations is powerful.
Well, thank you all so very much. We have come to the conclusion of our TDOV event. Thank you all so much for participating and collaborating together with us here at the Chamber. And to the audience, thank you so much for being here. We will send out a link with all of the resources, probably a transcript to this. And, question that we didn't get to was like, what's going on with trans service today? So we'll put a link to all of that. But thank you all so very, very much, and wish you a very happy day and uplifting trans visibility. So thank you all. Goodbye.